August 10th, 1628. Stockholm Harbor. Thousands of people line the water. They're here to watch the most powerful warship on Earth sail for the very first time. 20 minutes later, it's at the bottom of the sea. And here's the part they don't put on the museum posters. Almost everyone important on that shore knew it would sink. They knew, and not one of them said a word. This is the story of the Vasa, and the silence that killed her. To understand why nobody spoke up, you need to meet one man, Gustav II Adolf, King of Sweden, a warrior king, brilliant, ambitious, and at war with Poland. Sweden in the 1620s wants to own the Baltic Sea. And to own the sea, you need ships. Not just any ships, floating fortresses. So in 1626, the king orders something no one has attempted at this scale. A warship with not one, but 2 full decks of cannons, 64 bronze guns, more firepower than anything afloat. There's just one problem. The ship was never designed to carry that. The plans changed while she was already being built. More guns, more weight, higher decks, all of it stacked on a hull that stayed narrow at the bottom. Picture a bodybuilder, massive shoulders, balanced on ankles that never grew. The shipwright who drew the original plans might have pushed back, but he never got the chance. Remember that. It matters later. Summer, 1628. The Vasa is almost ready, and the Navy runs a stability test. The method is simple, brutal even. 30 men, running side to side across the deck. Together, in rhythm. If the ship stays steady, she's safe. The men run once. The Vasa leans. They run back. She leans further. On the third run, the admiral watching, a man named Klaus Fleming, orders them to stop, because if they run one more time, the ship will capsize. At the dock, before she has ever sailed. Now. Pause here, because this is the moment everything could have changed. The admiral knows, the builders know, the officers standing on that deck know. And what does Admiral Fleming do with this information? Nothing. No report reaches the king. No delay is ordered. The launch stays on schedule. Why would experienced Navy men stay silent about a death trap? Because the king had personally approved the ship's dimensions. Because the king was away at war, writing letters demanding she sail now. And in 1628, telling a warrior king his prize ship is a failure. That's not a career risk. That could be your neck. So, the most dangerous force on the Vasa wasn't the sea. It was fear. August 10th. A calm, sunny Sunday. The whole city turns out. Foreign diplomats watch from the shore, ready to report home about Sweden's new monster. Beat. The Vasa is glorious. Hundreds of painted sculptures. Gold leaf. Roaring lions. She isn't just a weapon. She's propaganda you can float. Beat. The crew even brought their families aboard for the first leg. Women, children. That detail is about to matter. Beat. She casts off. For the first few hundred meters, she's pulled along gently, sheltered by the cliffs. Then she reaches open water. The captain orders the sail set. The gunports open for a salute. Beat, and the wind arrives. Beat, not a storm, not a squall, a gust, an ordinary summer gust. Beat. The Vasa heels over. The crowd gasps. Then she rights herself. Nervous laughter along the shore. Then the second gust. She leans again. Further this time. And this time. She keeps leaning. Water pours into the open gunports. The ones they open for a celebration. And the most powerful warship on Earth. 64 guns, 3 years of work, a king's fortune, slides under the surface. In full view of the city that built her. She had sailed about 1,300 meters. Roughly 30 of the people aboard never came back up, trapped below decks as she went down. Some of them, the families invited for the celebration. The king hears the news days later, by letter. His response survives. He calls it disgrace, demands the guilty be found and punished. So, Sweden holds an inquest, and this is where the story turns from tragedy to something colder. The captain is interrogated first, from a prison cell. Was the crew drunk? No. Witnesses confirm they'd taken communion that morning. Were the cannons loose? No. Secured. Was the ballast wrong? The crew had loaded every stone the hull could hold. One by one, every man points the same direction. The ship herself, too narrow below, too heavy above, built exactly to the approved specifications. And who approved the specifications? The king. Now the court has a problem. Follow the evidence, and it leads to a man no court can touch. And the man who drew the original design? The shipwright Henrik Heibertson? He had died the year before the launch. The one person who could explain the compromises, gone. The perfect defendant. So the inquest reaches its verdict. Ready? No one. No one is punished. Not the admiral who watched the failed test. Not the officers, not the builders. The official conclusion essentially shrugs. The ship was built as ordered, and only God knows why she sank. A $30 million disaster in today's money. 30 deaths, 0 consequences. And the sea kept the evidence for 333 years, until someone went looking. 1956, an amateur researcher named Anders Franzen has spent years dragging a harbor floor with a homemade sampler. Everyone thinks he's wasting his life. Then, one day, his sampler comes up with a plug of black oak. Old oak, he's found her. And here's the twist nobody expected. The Vasa isn't a wreck, she's whole. The Baltic Sea is brackish, too low and salt for the shipworm that devours wooden wrecks in every ocean on Earth. So for 3 centuries, while the world above forgot her, the sea below preserved her. In 1961, in front of cameras and a holding its breath nation, the Vasa breaks the surface. 98% original, the sculpture's still there. Sailors' boots still below deck. The ship that sailed 1,300 meters became the only nearly intact 17th century ship on Earth. Today, she has her own museum in Stockholm. The disaster no one answered for is now the most visited museum in Scandinavia. The Vasa finally completed her mission, just not the one the king imagined. She conquered the world as a warning. So what actually sank the Vasa? Not the wind. Ships survive wind, not the design alone. Designs can be fixed. What sank her was a room full of experts who all saw it coming and decided that staying silent was safer than being right. The test failed. The launch happened anyway. 400 years later, we build software this way. Bridges. Companies. Every project has its 30 men running across the deck. The Vasa still stands in Stockholm, not as a monument to bad engineering, as a monument to what silence costs. And the next time you're the person who sees the problem, remember the admiral on that deck? He stopped the test. He just never stopped the ship. If stories like this are your thing, the next one is about 2 ships that vanished in the Arctic with 129 men, and the note they left behind. Subscribe so you don't miss it.